everybody. So today we're going to be talking about the muscles involved in speech production. I have Blake here and my friend Fred, firstly to talk about the extrinsic laryngeal muscles. So starting with the constrictors, we have your inferior constrictor down here, which pulls the larynx backwards and slightly up and also narrows the laryngopharynx. Then we have your middle constrictor, which would pull the hyoid bone back and somewhat up and constrict the oropharynx. And up top here we have your superior constrictor, which determines the shape and stiffness of the side walls of the pharynx. And then moving on to our pharyngeal elevator muscles, which pull up on the larynx and the walls of the laryngopharynx. So we have your stylopharyngeus, which originates at the styloid process and then would continue down, insert with some of its fibers inserting into the constrictor muscles, and then would come all the way down to insert into the thyroid cartilage. And then here we have your palatopharyngeus, which you can see where it merges with the stylopharyngeus, and then it would also come down and insert into the thyroid cartilage. And then not pictured is the sulpinopharyngeus, which if you took a mid-sagittal, you could see where it originates at the eustachian tubes, and then it would insert into the palotopharyngeus muscle. Alright, so now we got our friend Fred again. He's going to show us the infrahyoid muscles, which connect the hyoid bone from below and would lower or depress the larynx. So first we have your thyrohyoid, which lowers the hyoid bone and can raise the larynx with the suprahyoid muscles during swallowing. And then we have your sternothyroid, which would lower the larynx by pulling down on the thyroid cartilage. And then we got your sternohyoid and your omohyoid, which would also lower the hyoid and, of course, then would lower the larynx. Alright, so moving on, we have our suprahyoid muscles, which connect the hyoid bone from above and would raise the hyoid bone and therefore raise the larynx. So first we have our diaphragmatic muscle, which has two bellies, the anterior belly and the posterior belly, and when they contract, they form a sling, and this would raise the larynx. And the ABD muscle can also lower the jaw because, as you can see, it's attached to it here. And then we have our mylohyoid, which when we contract it, it raises the hyoid and stiffens the floor of the mouth. And then we got your geniohyoid or your chiniohyoid, and when we contract this, it pulls the pulls the hyoid up and forward, and then would make the floor of the mouth shorter and open up the pharynx. And then lastly, we have our stylohyoid here, which raises and retracts the hyoid. Alright, so we have Fred number 1 back here again to talk about some of the important muscles of the velum. So I included the most important, which is the levator palati. And as you can see here, it would originate at the petrous part of the temporal bone and the eustachian tube, and then it would go down and would enter the velum and pull it back up like a trap door. And then just underneath you can see the tensor palati, which by its name obviously would tense the palate. Yeah. Alright, so Fred back here, we're going to move on to the muscles of the lips and face.
Wait, do you have a way to remember all of these?
I thought you'd never ask. The oral group ormus muscles help you make expressions. The orbicularis oris puckers for kissing sessions. This muscle is a sphincter, a circle-maintaining construction, one of two facial muscles that have this distinction. The upper oral muscles we will now discuss. The upper lip is lifted by the levator labii superioris. Zygomaticus major minor, lift up corners when you smile. Orbicularis oculi gives you crow's feet all the while, but when you fake a smile, eye muscles aren't engaged, only the risorius does, making the smile look staged. The levator anguli oris, it moves most corners up. Levator labii superioris aliquid nasi, that's pretty crazy.
Yup.
It elevates the upper lip, for example, when you sneer. Nicknamed the Elvis muscle, it trademarked his career. The lower oral muscles, there are 3 of these. Mentalis, depressor labii inferioris, depressor anguli oris. The mentalis is at the furrow, between your lips and chin. Nicknamed the pouting muscle, it shows displeasure within. The depressor anguli oris, make mouth corners descend. When expressing displeasure, on these you do depend. Depressor labii inferioris also helps you frown, for they help you pull your lower lip sideways and down. The 4 muscles of mastication for jaw motions are employed: temporalis, masseter, medial, and lateral pterygoid. The temporalis closes the mouth and retracts the mandible. The masseter is the strongest, so bring it to the table. The masseter has 2 parts, superficial and also deeper. Both help you lift the mandible to make you a mess eater. The medial pterygoid also helps you lift your mandible with a deep and superficial head, so your mouth is expandable. The lateral pterygoid's 2 heads take control. Align the temporomandibular joint and open your pie hole. Finally, the buccinator, accessory muscle of mastication, pulls the cheek toward the teeth to push food from this location. At the styloid process, which will kind of exciting stuff. And I think so. Yeah, why am I dumb? I would. Already. Did? Oh, you know what I realized? Levator labii superioris aliquae nazi. That's pretty crazy.
Yep.
It